The world. The world in ReZero seems to have a will of its own. It grants people special abilities and seems to favor one person over another. Those who follow the rules of the world are usually beloved by it, and those who don't are called cheaters and are considered enemies of the world. The witch cult, which we will talk about in a second, are enemies of the world because they use authorities. When the world likes a person a lot, it gives them special abilities that help them navigate it. These are called divine protections. Divine protection. A divine protection is a special blessing granted at birth that gives a person unique abilities. For example, Krush has the divine protection of wind reading, which enables her to detect whether a person is lying or not. The more divine protection a person has, the more we say that they are blessed by the world. In this regard, Reinhardt is the most beloved person in the world. Actually, there is a chapter in Arc 9 titled The One Hated by the World versus the One Loved by the World, though this chapter hasn't been adapted yet. How divine protection work is that they can help you navigate the world more easily than normal people. For example, by nullifying wind resistance or by being able to walk on water, and so on. In this regard, the strongest divine protection user is Reinhardt. He has a divine protection that enables him to wish for any divine protection that he wants. Curses. A curse is a type of magical ability focused on inflicting harm or misfortune on others. These techniques can range from subtle manipulations to deadly attacks. Curses are typically offensive in nature and are used strategically in combat or to manipulate events. Magic. Magic is the natural, learnable system of casting spells by using mana through a person's gate. When we say learnable, it is because there are some things in this world that hard work cannot give you, even if you train for all eternity. But magic, on the other hand, is something that if you spend enough time on, you will be able to master a spell. Basically, this is dependent on the talent you have plus how much time you dedicate to learning magic. Take Roswell for example. This person spent 400 years to craft simultaneous casting of 6 different spells at the same time, which is insane because for that you need to have 6 brains working at the same time. So with magic, anyone with a functioning gate and mana reserves can use it, though talent varies. There are 6 attributes: fire, water, wind, earth, yin and yang. Each person can usually use one attribute, although some talented mages, for example Roswell, can use multiple spells. Each element has spells ranked by power, precision and mana cost. When you see the L prefix, you can expect simple, low-cost spells. Think little fireballs, small gusts, minor healing, and so on. For example, El Gowa summons a little fireball. If the prefix is all, the spell is mid-level. Stronger, more refined, needs more mana control, and these spells are a lot more practical in battle. For example, Old Donna, which was used by Betelgeuse, it conjures a wall of earth. If a spell has the Al prefix, then that spell is a high-level spell. They usually result in massive destructive or highly complex effects. For example, Al-Shamak sent one of the 3 great Mabeasts to an entirely different dimension. If the complexity of the spell is high enough, then that could lead to be a forbidden spell. For example, Al-Shario, which was designed by Echidna, can literally summon Stardust, unavoidable Stardust, to hit its enemies. Other than Echidna, the number of people who could use this spell is very few, maybe even one other person. Forbidden magic. This is the magic that a person shouldn't use, and if they use it, they become an enemy of the world. For example, soul transcription, and basically anything to do with the person's soul. That basically interferes with the laws of the world because people normally die after a period of time. But this spell moves your soul from a body to another one to avoid death. So you're basically cheating the system, and so you become an enemy of the world. We see Roswell using this spell, and it was originally developed by his master Echidna, though she couldn't use it because she couldn't find a vessel that would be able to contain her enormous soul. Another forbidden spell is the Sacrament of the Immortal King, and being able to resurrect a person, though only their body is brought back and the memories of how that body used to fight. After a person died in this world, it is super hard to bring back the soul of the person who dies, because the world has taken the soul. The Eternal Freeze. The Eternal Freeze is what happened around 100 years ago in Elior Forest. It's when Emilia lost control and froze the entire forest down together with the people inside of it, creating an ice that can't be melted, not by sunlight nor by fire. The people are still frozen to this day, and the main reason that Emilia participated in the royal selection was for her to maybe get the power required to melt this ice. The Astrea Family. The Astrea Family are the descendants of one of the three great powers, Reed Astrea, who sealed the Witch of Greed over 400 years ago. Reed Astrea is the original holder of the sword Reed, which refuses to be unsheathed if the opponent is not worthy enough. In this regard, this sword cannot be used against the witch cult, as they are counted as cheaters, and the sword does not count them as being strong. Hence, it does not accept being unsheathed. The sword saint of each generation is chosen from the Astrea family. The way it works is that the world blesses a person with the divine protection of the sword saint, which makes the person who inherits this divine protection the sword saint of that generation. That person is then required to wield the sword Reed. The current sword saint is Reinhard van Astrea, and the previous sword saint was his grandmother Teresia van Astrea. The Great Calamity. The Great Calamity refers to the event that occurred around 400 years ago, when the Witch of Envy, Satella, went mad and brought devastation upon the world. To stop her, the sage Flugel, the first sword saint, Reed Astrea, and the divine dragon joined forces. Even with their combined strength, they couldn't kill her, only seal her away. The Great Conquest. The Great Conquest was Lagunica's failed attempt to slay the White Whale, led by the sword saint Teresia van Astrea. The campaign ended in tragedy, with history recording her death at the beast's hand. The Sanctuary. It is a hidden demi-human settlement protected by a powerful magical barrier. It also serves as the graveyard of the witches, primarily the Witch of Greed, who was the person that erected the barrier 400 years ago. To open the barrier, a demi-human must pass the three trials: the trial of the past, the trial of the present, and the trial of the future. The Royal Selection. The Royal Selection is the event to decide the new ruler of the Kingdom of Lognica upon the death of all royal family members. This kingdom has a contract with the Divine Dragon. Around 1 year ago, all the royal family members began to die due to an unknown illness. Upon the death of all heirs, the contract between the Divine Dragon and the kingdom was severed, and this event came to be to re-establish that covenant. The 5 candidates selected were Emilia, Felt, Priscilla Bariel, Krush Karsten, and Anastasia Hoshin, all of whom were chosen by the Dragon Jewels. Each of the candidates went on to create a camp to aid them with the selection, and each candidate must have a knight with her. Witch factors. A witch factor is something resembling this thing, that when consumed gives a person an authority. The ultimate enemy of the world are the witch factors. They are basically the most mysterious items in the world right now. Witch factors are not shown to be able to be destroyed, and when you hold a witch factor, it can be absorbed by another person if the holder is killed. The problem is that killing a witch factor holder is nearly impossible, as they don't play by the same rules of the world. Take Regulus for example. You have Reinhard going against him, and even though Reinhard is said to be stronger than the sun as stated by the author and defined to be like a natural disaster, literally it is a declaration of war if he enters another kingdom even 1 centimeter. That all goes to show how strong this person is. And even this person can't seem to be able to defeat Regulus on his own. Only with knowledge from beyond this world can a witch factor holder be defeated. And fortunately we have Subaru. That is why it is suspected that the witch factor originated from Subaru's original world. Authorities. Authorities are unique supernatural powers tied to the witches of sin, given to sin archbishops of the witch cult. These, as opposed to magic, cannot be learned. They are granted by inheriting a witch factor, usually after killing or replacing the previous holder. Authorities often break the normal rules of the world and can be far stronger than standard magic. Basically, if you feel something off or weird about someone, then most likely he's using an authority. Authorities are very powerful, and most people who come in contact with an authority user will die. most likely. Witches. The witches of sin are insanely powerful figures tied to each of the 7 deadly sins. They lived over 400 years ago during a time when there wasn't even a good grasp of magic. What makes them a witch, however, is not just that they had powerful abilities, they had them. But the most important part about them is their ideology. Each one of them wanted the world to be a specific way and so used their authorities to achieve that. Satella is the witch of envy. She is the big one. She's obsessed with Subaru, responsible for the time loop curse, and is the reason the world fears witches. Echidna is the witch of greed, curious, manipulative, and obsessed with knowledge. Echidna seemed to have been experimenting with souls, which is why she became an enemy of the world. She's also the teacher of Roswell, Beatrice, and Ryuzu. Minerva is the witch of wrath. Ironically, she hates violence and heals people by punching them. Sekhmet is the witch of sloth. She is incredibly lazy but ridiculously strong, known as one of the most dangerous witches despite her sleepy demeanor. Daphne is the witch of gluttony. She is the one responsible for creating the Mabeasts, like the white whale, to solve world hunger. Typhon is the witch of pride. Typhon is obsessed with justice. She judges people. If they are guilty, their bodies shatter apart. Carmilla is the witch of lust. She is shy and timid, but her aura makes everyone around her fall in love. Return by death. Return by death is when Subaru dies, but instead of staying dead, he returns to a save point in the past. He remembers everything, including all events, conversations, and mistakes that led to his death. Return by death only triggers when Subaru dies, and it's triggered automatically. The only control that Subaru has in this process is that if he kills himself, but that is never easy. Death is physically and emotionally painful, often leaving him traumatized. The Witch Cult. The Witch Cult is a secretive, fanatical organization that worships the Witch of Envy, Satella. Their goal is tied to reviving her or fulfilling her will, and they operate in absolute secrecy outside the control of any kingdom. It is currently ruled by Pandora, but it wasn't always this way. Over 400 years ago, the original founder of the witch cult is suspected to be a person called Flugel, together with Betelgeuse. Sin Archbishops. The Sin Archbishops are the highest ranking members of the witch cult, each embodying one of the 7 deadly sins. They wield authorities, the ability to interfere with the laws of the world. Each of them has inherited a witch factor. The sloth witch factor resides in Betelgeuse. This gives him the authority of the unseen hand to crush and kill. He is obsessed with the idea of love. The witch factor of greed resides in Regulus Cornelius. He wields an authority that enables him to stay invulnerable. The witch factor of gluttony lies within Lai Batinkaitos and Roy Alfard and Rui Arnett. They consume people's names and memories, erasing them from existence. The witch factor of lust lies within Capella Emerada Lugnica. She can transform herself and others into any form. Gospels. A gospel is a special book carried by members of the witch cult. It is not just an ordinary scripture. It's basically their guide to life. Each gospel supposedly shows its holder the future path they are meant to follow, but the details inside are vague and open to interpretation. Only the owner of the gospel can read it. To anyone else, the pages looked like nonsense. Mabeasts. Mabeasts are artificially created magical beasts created by the witch of gluttony Daphne, all for the sake of ending world hunger. A normal human encountering Mabeasts will usually result in that human dying. But some humans have divine protections that enables them to control Mabeasts, such as Melee, the 3 great Mabeasts. These beasts are the enforcers to end world hunger. The white whale is big, so it can satisfy a lot of humans, and the great rabbit is the same. It can multiply indefinitely, and hence there won't be any shortage of rabbit meat to eat. The last of them, the black serpent, is designed to kill those who feel hunger, thus ending their hunger. All of these were born from the Witch of Gluttony's life, where she felt hunger and couldn't find something to eat, and she wished for death but was unable to die. The Tome of Wisdom. The Tome of Wisdom is a special book distinct from the witch cultist Gospels, belonging originally to Echidna, the Witch of Greed. It's essentially the prototype Gospel. Unlike the vague cult versions, the Tome provides clear and precise knowledge of the future, making it incredibly powerful. However, it shows only what Echidna could perceive, Roswell and Beatrice each possess copies. Also, if a normal person reads the Tome of Wisdom, then that person will be driven to insanity in seconds. Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead is a special tome that records the complete life and memories of someone who has died. When read, it forces the reader to vividly relive that person's experiences, emotions, and final moments, often causing immense psychological pain. Unlike the Gospels or the Tome of Wisdom, it doesn't predict the future, it preserves the past. When read by a person, it can be the case that the reader becomes the dead and he can't distinguish between his own life and the life of the person he reads about. For a Book of the Dead to appear in the world, a person has to die, and this is why Subaru has one. In fact, he has multiple, each one for a specific loop. If someone reads Subaru's Book of the Dead, it may be the case that there will exist two Subarus in the world with clashing ideologies. A sage. A sage is a mysterious title said to describe someone capable of reigning over the witches. Their bones can create special containers strong enough to hold witch factors, as seen with the boxes used by Betelgeuse and Regulus. The only confirmed sage is Flugel, though Subaru was acknowledged as a sage candidate by Daphne. Spirits. Spirits are powerful non-human beings born from mana and closely tied to the natural world. Spirits have a strong tie with the world and are usually liked by the world. Most of them try to uphold the rules of the world, as seen with the spirit of fire trying to kill Emilia, calling her a witch. And to be called a witch by a spirit is the ultimate insult, because you are literally calling them an enemy of the world. Spirits are not to be allowed to absorb witch factor, and if they do, they will lose their mind, as seen with Betelgeuse. Spirits form contracts with humans, granting their partners access to incredible power in exchange for mana or some conditions.